In this country, killing people is not illegal, yet stealing is punished by death. Old people, women, and children here all carry weapons to prevent themselves from being killed. It is said that public killings happen all the time, so countless criminals see this place as a paradise and want to visit. Traveler Kino also arrives, hoping to see what this country is really like. But when the city gates open, things are not as chaotic as the rumors say. People chat peacefully on the streets, and children even give flowers to adults. There are no shops with doors tightly shut, nor groups of thugs roaming around, and everything seems orderly. It's not the terrible land the rumors described, but more like a hidden paradise. However, after riding her motorcycle all around the city, Kino notices something strange. The walls are covered with marks that could only be left by countless wars, and everyone she meets, although kind, always carries a gun. Whether it's an elderly person at the end of life or a regular shopkeeper, none of them are exceptions. Kino asks a shopkeeper why he carries a gun, and the shopkeeper slowly explains. After staying in this country for 3 days, Kino never sees a single murder. Finally, she climbs onto her motorcycle, ready to leave. But just as she is about to depart, a small-time thug also arrives in this country. Feeling liberated, he stops Kino on the street and threatens her to hand over her luggage or he will kill her, then puts his hand on his gun as if he might fire at any moment. People on the street see this and calmly step away into the corners. Suddenly, only Kino and the thug remain. Kino refuses him. She turns and hides behind her motorcycle. The thug, sword in hand, pulls out his gun. But right when he's about to fire, pain overwhelms him, and he yanks a sword out of his hand. Then he looks up, seeing that he is surrounded by fully armed residents, the same gentle people from before who now each hold a weapon, smiling as they slowly move closer. The thug snaps into a frenzy, shouting at the residents, "Isn't this the country where killing isn't banned?" "Yes, that's correct," they answer, "and that's why we live here." All the residents smile. It's true that killing is not against the law here, but not forbidding it does not mean allowing it. Not forbidding murder doesn't mean there is no order. In fact, it's to maintain absolute order. Every person here is an enforcer of that system, and people who break the rules have only one fate. The thug's blood spreads across the ground. Watching this, Kino understands that this place indeed does not forbid killing, but everyone who is killed is someone who deserves to be killed. After they deal with the thug, an old man still smiles at Kino and says goodbye, while the residents smoothly handle the body, as if it's a perfectly normal routine. Leaving the country, Kino meets a man on the road. He says he once had to kill many people, but now wants a quiet place to live, and he asks Kino if that country up ahead is a good place. Someone once imagined creating a zone for criminals where they could do as they please. Would that make the rest of the world safer? Perhaps the answer is clear. Rules and order will never disappear because they exist to protect the majority. Yet there are always those who, for their own gain, break that order and harm countless others. But the outcome of violating the rules is also set in stone. Punishment will come sooner or later. In this country, every 3 months there is a duel competition. The winner can make a new law, and the loser always dies. The king, addicted to this bloody event, secretly spreads rumors that the country is a paradise, attracting travelers to come. Every visitor who arrives is forced into these duels. Even Kino, who usually doesn't interfere with any nation, can't help feeling anger. But the soldiers don't notice and throw Kino into a cell to await the duel. In the room, Kino's motorcycle notices her mood and tells her not to be angry at such a ridiculous country. Kino does not answer, just follows the soldiers to the arena. As she enters, she keeps an eye on the king in the stands, who smiles happily at the sight of people fighting to the death over the rules he has made. Kino, looking thoughtful, slowly steps onto the battlefield. The first match is against a strong man with a hammer, but Kino defeats him with a single shot. The second fight is against someone called Turtle Hand, and again Kino wins with one shot. The third fight is against a beautiful young woman, still just one bullet. The fourth opponent is an old man, and Kino once again uses a single shot. Relying on her gun, she wins several rounds in a row. That night, back in the cell, Kino starts to make stronger gunpowder. Even though her opponents don't seem worth it, she has another motive. Her motorcycle Hermes notices Kino's plan. Hermes says, "Let's do this tomorrow. I hope you can be near Kino." "Why?" "I want you to be near Kino." The next day's match brings Kino against a powerful fighter named Shizu. When Kino fires her gun, Shizu blocks it all with just a sword. Even Kino has never seen an opponent like this. In a moment of surprise, Kino's gun is knocked away. Shizu urges Kino to surrender, but Kino keeps smiling. Shizu rushes forward with his sword, but right then, Kino pulls another gun from her waist and aims at Shizu. Shizu freezes and admits defeat, but the crowd shouts for Kino to shoot him. They are immersed in the thrill of murder and death. Kino points the gun straight at Shizu's head and smiles, then asks Shizu if he knows who is behind him. At first, Shizu doesn't understand, and then suddenly, where the king was seated, only his crown remains. Kino raises both hands in victory. She is now the champion of the duel and has the right to announce a new law. Her law is simple. Since the king is gone, the people can now fight among themselves to see who will become the new king, with the winner surviving. The moment she finishes speaking, the entire nation starts killing each other. Kino, taking advantage of the chaos, rides away on her motorcycle at top speed. In her eyes, Whether it's the king who loves to watch fights or citizens who cheer for blood, they are all murderers, and none deserve sympathy. But Kino doesn't expect to run into Shizu on the road. He is different from the others, not caring for duels or that country. He was once a prince of that land, only wanting to kill the king in revenge. Now that his wish is granted, he brings his dog along and sets out. The two enjoy a rare, peaceful moment, while the people left in that country remain there, washing away their sins. This is a roaming country whose entire population travels together, living inside a fortress shaped like a giant chimney. They have a central power engine, and if it ever stops, it will explode. So they have no choice but to keep moving at all costs, seeing countless beautiful sights as they roam. One day, traveler Kino enters this roaming country and tours the inside, which is unbelievably large. People can drive cars inside, and children draw pretty pictures on the outside walls, surrounded by laughter. Yet Kino notices something odd. Wherever this roaming country passes, it leaves deep tire tracks in the ground. No plants or rivers can escape being crushed under those wheels. The seemingly endless tracks scar the earth. Kino wants to speak up but keeps silent. Then a red alarm light flashes inside the vehicle, and a diplomatic official explains that another country has appeared on their route. Taking Kino to the fortress's core, he shows her a giant wall on the screens. The other nation threatens them to leave, but once the roaming country's direction is set, it cannot be changed. The official begs the other side to make way, but the request sounds so absurd that the other side immediately sets up weapons to fire. In the next instant, the roaming country goes into defense mode. The chimney-like structure truly becomes a fortress, and no matter how many shells hit it, it does not even flinch. The gap in technology between the two sides spans an entire era. With just a few words, these people determine the fate of that other country, as easily as deciding what to have for dinner. The defenders on the wall try to resist, but in a flash, the wall is pierced by lasers. The huge fortress plows through fields. Farmers stand before it, trying to protect their land, but it is all in vain. Nobody listens to the diplomats' pleas. The only response is a long trench spreading onward, maybe the cruel truth of the world. There is no deep hatred between them. The roaming country does not want to hurt others, but the other side just happens to block their path. Being so weak, they have no power to stop a giant, like ants in the path of an elephant. Yet those people refuse to give up and chase the fortress, their weapons useless. So out of spite, they launch missiles at the children's wall paintings. That enrages the roaming nation, for it insults the children's efforts. Kino volunteers to help. Taking a sniper rifle up onto the wall, she fires several shots in quick succession, easily destroying the launchers without hurting anyone. In that moment, she becomes the children's hero, the champion of the roaming country, and the fortress slowly leaves the enemy's borders. At the boundary, the other side demands compensation, but they only get one reply: "We'll take our leave now. We wish you good health." After this, Kino also leaves the roaming country, receiving a warm send-off from the children. Perhaps before long, they will paint a picture of Kino on their walls. There is a country where all the people live on a single ship and nobody maintains it. The ship is full of holes, but the residents choose to ignore them. If anyone brings up the leaks, the crowd gets angry, shouting that their ship is the biggest in the world and cannot possibly leak. Anyone who doubts it is just jealous. Shizu is a very kind man, so there is no need to worry. They all say they enjoy life. Shizu leaves the elder's room, sees the sunset over the sea, then looks back at the damaged ship. He decides to let more people see that sunset, so he packs all his gear and tells the little girl who guides him to stay on the ship. He goes alone to find the ship's leader, wanting them to fix it or abandon it, but the leader's answer is the same: "No matter what, I won't give up this ship. This is our country, our people, our fate." Shizu realizes only blood and fire can truly bring the country to act. He raises his sword and goes toward the leader's tower. Suddenly, a flying guard with a gun appears. Shizu attacks without a word, then notices the guard's gun looks strangely familiar. It's Kino's. Shizu realizes Kino has been hired by the leader. When the leader sees that Shizu and Kino know each other, he discards Kino and sets the ship's course into the open sea. Now Kino and Shizu stand on the same side. They team up and attack the tower. The little girl who guided Shizu follows them. All three confront the leader, who remains calm, and asks Shizu if she has considered what happens next if she really takes everyone to land. Shizu firmly says anything is better than dying at sea, but it turns out the leader is just a puppet. In the end, Shizu gathers all the people and brings them to land, announcing the truth that the real leader escaped by boat long ago, knowing the ship would sink. Now, free on land, people can choose how to live. Then a child speaks up, and suddenly they all become furious at what Shizu says, calling it heresy. They were born and raised on the ship. How dare an outsider make them abandon their home? They shout that their ship will never sink and return to it. No one thanking Shizu. Only the little girl stays by his side. Cherry blossoms, drifting, drifting, drifting. No one knows what is going on or why the little girl is acting this way. Then Kino's motorcycle explains a rumor it heard from 600 years ago in an abandoned place. Drifting, 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 Shizu, holding the little girl, sets off on a new journey. One day that ship may break apart, but that is their choice. Perhaps humans cannot save one another. The people on the ship are foolish, unworthy of Shizu's help. help, and they will never thank him. In another country, as long as you do enough good deeds, you can kill someone legally. Every time people do a good deed, they earn moral points. It is quite broad. Easiest is donating money. A certain percentage of your yearly income earns you points, and making contributions to the nation also counts. For example, being a nationally famous singer or a doctor who cures difficult diseases. Listening to an old man explain this, Kino cannot help asking if it works the other way too. If someone burdens people or commits crimes, do they lose points? The old man says minor crimes lose a little, big crimes lose a lot, but it's all managed by the Justice Department. Kino notices that if someone has enough good points, they can commit a crime without consequence. The old man agrees and doesn't see a problem with it. He says in the past, people were biased. A good person who does one bad thing is attacked, and a bad person who does one good thing is praised. It was unfair. Now their point system is absolutely fair. The old man once did every good deed possible. 3 days ago, he was even the president with more points than anyone in history, enough to kill someone without punishment. His only wish is to kill a person. He did good deeds just to do evil, and he avoided killing only to kill. Now he is very ill and has little time left. He eyes Kino, hiding a knife in his clothes, but Kino's hand rests on her revolver, so he gives up. Later, as the old man walks home at night, he meets a woman holding a child. She has no idea of his intentions and only wants this famous good man to pray for her child. He thinks about using the child as his target, but cannot do it. No one knows whether the old man ever completes his wish. Probably not. He can't bring himself to do it. That alone means he's not entirely a failure. If a bad person acts good all their life, then that person is actually truly good. Maybe that's the idea that extreme deceit can turn into truth. So what about you? Who are you really? In this world's smallest museum, the items on display are all ordinary. A normal table, a normal blanket, a normal kettle, a normal frying pan. But the curator treasures each one. Kino passes by and is warmly invited in. The curator explains that this is a museum dedicated to a traveler who once came here, used his scientific knowledge to help the nation flourish, and so they collected all his belongings in one place. The curator shows off a shovel, saying it's not just any shovel. It symbolizes how the traveler walked, making flowers bloom, carrying his longing for home and love of life. Kino quietly thinks, that's a shovel for digging latrine holes, right? But doesn't say it out loud. Next, the curator shows off a fancy dagger, claiming it stands for the traveler's fearless spirit, maybe a gift from someone he loved. It reflects his nostalgia. Kino silently recognizes it as a cheap souvenir from another country, not even good enough as a weapon or a gift. The curator remains excited, giving each object deeper meaning. At last, he leads Kino into the biggest display room, which holds only one thing, the traveler's motorcycle. He says that since the traveler's death, the motorcycle has never moved, and the country even has a special workshop to keep it in perfect shape so people can visit and admire it. The moment Kino sees the motorcycle, a sadness appears in her eyes. For the first time, she interrupts the curator, asking him to step out so she can be alone with the bike. Puzzled, he agrees. When he leaves, the motorcycle on the stand suddenly speaks. It has been stuck here so many years it has forgotten the feeling of riding. Everyone here interprets it in their own way, but it only longs for the wind, the endless landscapes, that unreachable freedom. It begs Kino to destroy it, because it would rather be shattered than stay here lifeless. But Kino says she can't do it and doesn't want to interfere, so she quietly leaves the museum. Outside, a child asks Kino why she travels. She does not give a direct answer, only says to him, then she rides away. She can't change the way adults think. Maybe in their eyes, the world must be complicated, but children shouldn't be forced into that. 2 date trees are just 2 date trees. A motorcycle is just a motorcycle. Who can say for sure that anything here isn't over-interpreted? A man killed his girlfriend with his own hands, yet acts as if he doesn't remember, waiting by the city gate every day for her to come back, asking every traveler if they have seen her. After hearing the usual no, he lowers his head and goes home with his caretaker. Kino is curious. During a welcome feast, she asks people about the man, but they all grow solemn until finally, one curly-haired person tells her the truth. 5 years ago, this country had a king whose brutal rule angered the people. The man, then a policeman, joined the revolution. During that time, he met a girl from the countryside. They fell in love at first sight, living happily. But on the eve of the revolution, the man worried for her safety and broke up with her to keep her away. When the revolutionaries stormed the palace, they cornered the king's car. The man threw a grenade, only to realize his girlfriend was inside. She was the princess, not a country girl. In love with the enemy's daughter and personally killing her, the man lost his mind. Instead of being hailed a hero, he became a lunatic who goes to the gate every day to look for her, believing she's just gone somewhere else. Everyone pities him and plays along with the lie. Kino asks about the caretaker, and the curly-haired person says she was a traveler who came here 3 years ago, so they chose her for the role, figuring she wouldn't know the truth. After the feast, Kino prepares to leave but sees the caretaker's car stuck in mud. She helps push it out, and the caretaker invites her home. While the man steps away, the caretaker tells Kino a different story. Everything is the same until the revolution itself. The girlfriend actually learned about the revolt in advance and told the king so he could escape, and indeed the entire royal family fled to a neighboring country. No one died except a few stand-ins. says. The girlfriend truly loved the man and, worried about him losing his mind, returned in secret to this country pretending to be a traveler so she could take care of him every day. Kino now realizes the caretaker is the princess herself. From the day I knew him, I've stayed with him. I'll always stay near him, she says. The man returns and life goes on as usual, with him living in everyone's lies and in her lie, but it seems to be the only way. At least he remains with the one he loves. Kino leaves without comment, but right before she goes, the man dashes out and stops her. He speaks softly to Kino and Hermes. Please know this, I am already happy. I don't want to destroy anything anymore. The royal family, our enemies, my friends, the kind people, or the revolution's success and the new system. I'm not using anyone. I just don't want to break anything anymore. That's enough for me. Kino realizes he also knows the truth. Maybe guilt from lying makes everyone want to confess. So now she knows the truth. Everyone is lying, and yet somehow that lie preserves happiness. Maybe it's not so bad if the lie is kind. A young girl lives like a dog with a chain around her neck, forced to carry heavy items, cook, and do chores. People treat her horribly, even beating her. Afterward, they ask if she hates them. She replies that no matter what, she can't blame anyone. She learned that from her religion. The girl was originally an orphan in a strict religious country, and the leader owed money to a merchant, so he gave her away. Even then, she believes the leader must have done it so she could see more of the world. Maybe it's her best destiny. Maybe she is being tested. Nobody realizes how prophetic her words will be. One day, the mistress has her wash some large leaves. They look familiar, but the girl can't remember why. At dinner, the family cooks and eats them. The girl stares at the leaves, trying to recall where she's seen them, and then remembers. They're highly poisonous. A single bite can kill. She jumps up to warn everyone, but looks down at the chain and hesitates. That brief moment is enough for everyone to eat the leaves. Tears fill her eyes, blaming herself for not speaking sooner. She tries to join them in death, planning to eat the poison and die together, but then the spoiled son comes home late for dinner. The girl tries again to warn them, but no one listens, and he throws a stone at her. When she wakes from being hit, she overhears the boy telling his father he wants to take ownership of the girl. He's asked why, and the boy answers vaguely that he will kill her, repeating over and over, "I will kill you, I will kill you." Everyone is shocked by the girl's words, but before they can react, the poison takes effect. They vomit blood and collapse, leaving only the girl standing. Even then, she wants to save them. Seeing the merchant still alive, she apologizes over and over. The merchant remembers her warning, recalls she was about to eat the poison too if not for his son hitting her. He also remembers telling her that people betray and hurt each other, sometimes killing to survive in this rotten world. And now the girl begs him to kill her, saying it's all her fault. She doesn't want to live as a murderer. The merchant finds it unbelievable, but agrees. Before doing so, he removes her chain, then teaches her how to use a gun. When she's ready to die, he jerks the gun toward himself. It turns out he freed her so she could decide for herself, wanting her to kill her oppressor and become her own master. The girl stands frozen. Then a voice calls out. She follows it to find a talking motorcycle by a campfire. They talk all night, and though the motorcycle tries to comfort her, she insists it's all her fault. She quietly says, "Well," so she and the motorcycle make a promise that she must live on until the day she truly dies. They become companions, taking the merchant's money and leaving that sad place. Later, the girl arrives at a small town, uses the money to buy a big house, and lives the life she wants. She never again searches for death. Instead, she finds meaning in living and becomes a photographer. She said before that maybe her destiny was good, and she was right. It's not that her suffering brought happiness, but that she herself created reasons to live. Human beings, if they want to die, they should first try living. Another country is very peaceful, with police carrying weapons everywhere, wielding great power. They can do anything they like on any flimsy charge. They can lock up outsiders for decades. We have full authority. This is the police department, they laugh. A traveling woman and her companion arrive, and the companion is quickly arrested on false accusations. The woman's precious jewelry is confiscated. Drunk on power, the policeman says to her, "If your loved one is in jail, pay more." This breaks her last bit of patience. She returns to her room, opens a case of gear, silencers, night vision clothing, plastic knives, poison capsules. Her plan begins. She climbs the highest tower, sets up equipment, then starts a fire to distract the police. While they all rush to put it out, she sneaks into the prison and frees her companion. Neither plans to leave quietly. They want their stolen money back. Returning to the tower, they set up 2 rifles and aim down at everyone, but they shoot only at legs. Painful, not fatal. This kind of non-lethal pain can be worse than death. As more officers fall wounded, fear spreads. With no deaths, there is little reason to hate the shooters. Another day passes, and by evening the commander uses a loudspeaker to threaten them to surrender if they want a proper burial. One bullet knocks off his hat, and he hides behind his men, who scatter after being shot in the legs. By the next night, the commander's attitude shifts to negotiation, but all he gets in response is gunfire. Another day passes, and the commander becomes desperate. Finally, he shows his true colors. "I'll give you money. How much do you want?" The two lower their guns and demand compensation for damages, including the bullets they used. The commander has no choice but to pay. These 2 travelers then leave. The woman is Kino's teacher. Today, Kino happens to pass through this country her teacher once tormented, curious to see it. But the situation situation is different from what she imagined. Instead of cursing the two travelers, the people have built a monument to them, treating them like heroes who fixed a corrupt system and inspired everyone to be good. Kino, knowing the truth, asks an old man about it. He proudly explains their shining history, how those travelers' passion moved the politicians to change for the better. Kino doesn't argue. She notices that many people in the welcoming ceremony are missing their legs, but she doesn't dig deeper. It's clear the country whitewashed its past. She wonders what would happen if her teacher came again. They might really hail her as a hero. After all, they've already rewritten history. They can do anything. In the next scene, a blood-soaked man walks down the street holding a severed head, eyes red with madness. He just slaughtered an entire school of students and now targets the traveler before him. But with one quick move, the traveler defeats him and hands him over to the police. Yet the traveler never imagines the killer will be deemed innocent. The chief explains that a long time ago, this country used slave labor and implanted machines in slaves' brains to control them by radio signals. Then, 100 years ago, those slaves were freed, and the signals supposedly stopped. The traveler asks what that has to do with today's killer. The chief calmly says the murderer's ancestors must have had those implants, and that the radio waves made him do it. The traveler, named Shizu, with his dog, is shocked, but the chief retorts that Shizu isn't a doctor or biologist, so he can't dismiss their history. Everything, the chief says, is caused by these waves. Shizu feels awful but still wants to help. He takes the dog and the little girl and goes to find the radio tower. He thinks if he destroys it, all crime will end. But the so-called base is just rubble. The tower has collapsed. There are no signals, so any evil acts are purely real evil. Shizu photographs the ruins and returns to reveal the truth. The chief calls it a pity, saying the problem must be personal, not criminal. Shizu tries to argue, but the little girl grabs a random kid and pulls a grenade pin, threatening everyone not to interfere. Shizu has no choice but to pretend to take the chief hostage, saying the tower is actually new and fully operational, about to drive everyone insane. The chief, fearful, agrees to let them go. Then Shizu frees him but says, "I have one last thing to say. The pictures only showed the old destroyed tower, but the new one is working perfectly. Tomorrow, we'll boost the signals to maximum. Everyone will go mad." He leaves. Shizu knows they will keep believing in the radio waves so they can excuse all their wrongdoing. Evil people hold the power, so the rules cater to them. If they want to force themselves to believe, Shizu will trick them into even greater trouble. Either they admit no waves exist, or they turn on each other in fear. It's all the same to Shizu. He moves on, no longer caring about their fate. Then there is a strange flock of sheep that can injure people on the road. Even a traveler with a gun can't handle their massive numbers, and they chase her relentlessly, using tactics to surround her from front and back. Kino has no choice but to abandon her motorcycle and climb down a cliff, but the sheep stay on top, staring with eerie eyes. Kino thinks about shooting them, but there are too many. Her bullets would run out. She tries to shake them off, but they still follow along the cliff's edge. She notices she could eat them if they fall, but that's no solution. She wonders why they keep chasing her. What is their drive or obsession? She can't figure it out until she finds a jeep and a skeleton beside it. From one glance, she understands that person died from these sheep after trying to span the cliff with iron sheets, only to have his legs broken by the rams and finally committing suicide from the pain. Kino gets in the jeep and drives straight at the sheep. Many are knocked aside, some crashing through the windows. She keeps going, then opens the gas cap so fuel spills behind. After circling the flock, she jumps out and fires a special bullet into the trail of gasoline. Flames engulf the grasslands, burning countless sheep. Those who survive keep attacking, so Kino picks them off with her rifle one by one. None retreat, but still they refuse to let her go. Finally, she constructs a makeshift ramp with iron sheets, driving the jeep and jumping across the cliff to reunite with her motorcycle. Behind her, the blazing field is littered with dead sheep. Kino mutters, She rides away and reaches another country, where the guard explains that those sheep were trained for fighting matches. People used to watch them battle for entertainment until an animal rights group forced the release of the sheep into the wild. In truth, they have no reason or meaning to fight. They just repeat past experiences ingrained in their bones. They don't know the environment has changed. Their old habits became their doom. They teach each new generation to do the same, charging hopelessly at unknown enemies because that's all they know, trapped in a cage of their own past. But it's not just sheep that do this. At the end of the story, Kino hangs a hammock between two trees for a relaxing nap. When asked by her motorcycle what she'll do upon waking, she says she'll keep traveling. You rest when you're tired, then move on. That's simple truth. And with this scene, the anime comes to an end. If you enjoyed this anime, don't forget to subscribe and like the video.